Hello everyone, welcome to MoonKids. Let's discuss today about managed and external tables. Now, what are these tables? What is the basic difference between these two tables? Let's find out. Now, I am in a data science and engineering persona. Now, if you see here, these are three personas I have. One is data science, machine learning, and SQL. And based on the persona I select, the options changes over here. So we are at data science and engineering. Now let's create these two different types of tables and find out the basic difference and what happens when we drop these tables. That is the most important thing. Let's find out now. Before going further, I would like you to go to this data section and see if you can see this browse DBFS option or not. For the new users, you will not find this option. So if you don't have this button enabled, you have to go to admin settings, workspace setting, advanced, and DBFS file browser. Now this is default disabled. So if I disable it now and if I refresh the screen, now if I see the data option here, I will not find the DBFS button enabled over here. Now to make it enable again, what we have to do, we have to go to admin settings, workspace setting, advanced, enable this one. Just refresh your session and you will find the DBFS button enabled now. Now what is this one? DBFS is Databricks file system. If you click this one and a file store, you can create your own directories over here. I have uploaded few files to work with, some CSV, some JSON, and one output folder which I have not put data into it. We will create one table location over here and we will put the files. But we'll come over there. Let's find out how we can start creating tables, managed and external. Now we need one Jupyter notebook. Let's find out. Okay, let's create one notebook, manage and external. Now, if you see here, by default, it is set to SQL. So that means every cell which I will be creating here will be by default SQL. Now, if you want to run any kind of a Python command here, you have to make use of some kind of magical commands, which are like starts with percentage. And then if you write Python, and if you just write this Python and press enter, you will find out that this particular cell has changed from SQL to Python. Now, if I remove this back, it will switch back to SQL. So by default, every cell will be SQL because the Jupyter Notebook language is set to SQL. But if you want to run some kind of Python command, then you have to make use of magical commands. I have made a few lessons on magical commands also. I will put a link under the comment section of this video so you can have a look later on. Now, what we need Python for. So we need Python for finding out where our files is by using a dbfs dbutils command. So if I have to execute my dbutils command, I need Python. And in order to find out what is in my file system, this is the command we use. Okay, the output is displayed. Let's make it prettier by using display command. So now I will be getting in a tabular form of all the files folders underneath the parent directory. So this is what I have. We'll make use of this one later when we find out where the files has to be stored while creating a table. Now let's create a table first, which is managed for. Now I'll paste this link also in the comment section. Now this is a latest link for Spark Apache documentation. If you have this latest URL with you, so whatever latest version will come, it will automatically be opened over here. Now we have to go to SQL section, SQL reference, SQL syntax. Now under SQL syntax, you'll find like DDL, DML statements are given over there. It is a good place to start with. So you don't have to write everything by scratch. You can just click on these options to find out some example tables, some example commands, sorry. Now let's create a table over here. and insert some values, and let's find out if it is a managed table or external and what is the basic difference. So going back, let me copy this create table command. Now we are creating a table named students. Name and address are two fields using Parquet. Let's not discuss about the partition, but let me tell you in brief. The partition by column uh, is needed when you want to partition the whole table based on a certain ID. Now, if you want put name over here, then the table will be partitioned by name. But if you put student ID, it will be work accordingly. So as of now, we don't need partition by, so I'm removing it. Now, if you see here, all those syntax are highlighted because this is the SQL one. Now, if it had been over here, Python, which was on the Jupyter Notebook level, which I'll show you here, Python. So you'll find out that this has switched to Python, but this has not highlighted. So we cannot run SQL command over here as with using percentage Python. So I'm removing this Python. Now it is SQL. So what it will do now, it will create a table called students with two field name and address. Where will it create? Let's go over here. Let me open a duplicate session. I am going to data and the Hive metastore, which is by default, everything comes over there if we don't specify it. So Hive default is our database, and there is no table called students as of this moment. So let's create students and find out whether that table will exist in, sorry, will appear in a Hive metastore or not. Let me refresh it. Now it has been created. It says OK. Hive metastore default database. We got students table now. So if you see here, the metadata, like the information about the table and sample data and every detail you can see over here as well. So I'll tell you in brief what we are trying to do. We are trying to find out what is the difference between managed and external table. Now, managed table has metadata defined in the Hive metastore, as well as data, what we are going to load, will also be existing in the Hive metastore. So if we drop a table, then the table and the metadata will be gone forever for the managed tables. For external tables, the metadata will lie over here, but the data against which we will create the external table will lie somewhere else. So if we drop an external table, only the metadata will be removed, but the data underneath that table for which lies in a file, in a physical file, which I'll show you in a while, that data will be persistent. So let's find out by inserting some records, how does it look like and where the data is. Then at last we will drop these tables to find out whether managed data can be recovered or not. Now inserting table students value, let's keep it simple. Okay, so what we are doing now, we are inserting values. Amy Smith, these two fields we have. Let me trigger this. So now we got values inserted. Let's find out what we have in students. If we trigger this one, so we got the values here. So what we have done, we have created a table which we have not defined any other clause, just create table command using Parquet. We have inserted the values. Now when we select the query, we got these two values over here. So now let's find out about the definition of this table using describe. Now if I just use describe and then students, it will give me some basic information about the fields only, which are this one, data type, comment. But if I want to know some more information about the table, then I use extended class. Now when I trigger this one, now if you see, we got the field names, column names also, data type, they comment. Now catalog is Hive metastore. This is the catalog. I'll create a new video for the whole three level namespace, which is using Unity catalog in the next lessons. But so far, just find out that this is the Hive metastore, which is a catalog. So catalog is Hive metastore. Database is default. Table is students. Now, if you see, this is very important. The type is managed. Now, managed means that everything is over here in the Hive meta store. So if I see this information, and also I have sample data, what I have loaded, I have the column definition. So the whole reach of managed table is only the Hive meta store. Now, if I remove this table, it will be gone for good. But before removing it, let's create an external table also. Let's find out where the create statement. Okay, now create table command. Let's go back and write students ext, which is for external. Now coming back over here, let me refresh this session and find out whether do we have any external table defined or not. Uh, Default. Okay, we don't have any ext table, which is students ext. Now using Parquet, now which is the magical word coming up is location. Now this location, when I specify this location, that means the data, all this data will lie somewhere else, not in the Hive metastore. Now, which location I can give? You can give any location. The best thing in future, which is using the external data, using the storage locations and storage credentials and external locations, which is a very important thing because this will help us to place our data somewhere in the blob in Azure or in S3 bucket in AWS. But for this exercise, let's stick to DBFS only. Now we need the path. Where is the path? If I see, okay, file store, let me go to file store. I made an output path somewhere. Let me find out where it is. Tables, output. Now, let me define over here using location. So what exactly we are trying to do is, okay, let me paste that create table command over here also, so that I can give you a good comparison. So in this create table command, we have not used location, which was the manage table. Now in this create table command, we are using location. Location is basically the files, the database files will be created in this location. Now let's go and to our DBFS file system and find out, do we have anything in the output section? No, we don't have anything. Now let's create this table and then we will insert some data. Okay, so the table is created. Now what will happen? We'll first see the Hive meta store. Do we have any information of ext? We have to refresh it. Hive meta store, we'll go to default. Students ext is available now. So this is the ext which is based on location. Now this location defines that it is an external table. Now if I see here describe command, if I execute describe command, extend it, and students ext table, see what it will give me. Okay, so these are the columns, same column we have. Catalog is Hive, database is default. And if you see the type here, it is external now. Now, external means that the data will be stored somewhere else. So if we drop this table, we may be able to recover the table again because the data lies somewhere else. It's not managed. Now, where the data is stored is in this location. Now, if I see this location now, there will not be any data because we have not made any entries in the table so far. Let's see. Let's go to DBFS. Output, this is empty now. Now let me insert some records in this table. Let me use the same command, insert, but this time we have to use ext. Now once we execute this command, what will happen is some kind of a data files will appear in this location which is empty at this moment. Let me trigger this command. Okay, so let's go back. Let's refresh this. Browse dbfs, file tables. Okay, so now we got this information here. So this is basically what it is telling is the data lies in this location now, which is the DBFS, which is Databricks file system. So if I remove anything, if I drop the table, external table, the data still lies somewhere else. So data will never be lost. Now let's go back to our Jupyter and find out information about extended table. Now this is something new which has come up, like whenever you're playing with the data tables and all, the data preview directly gets open over here also, which is a good thing. But otherwise, if you don't have this one, you can go to the data section and you can find the same hierarchy there. Now this is the data we have, this is external. Now we have been telling one thing again and again that if we remove the table, then what will happen is the managed table will go on forever, but external table will not. The data will still lie, but the metadata will go off. Let's go back our data section. In the data section, we have Hive, students ext, which is on, and we have okay, we have sample data also. What we have done, if I soon see the details, I'll find the type is external. If I see students and see the details, the type is managed. Now let's try dropping this table. Now first we will drop our managed table. This is the managed table, and below we will drop students ext. Now this is we are dropping the managed table. So just to check again that if I go this one, if I do describe extended students, I am having table which is managed. Type is managed. Now let me drop it over here. Let's drop this table. Now dropping means it has gone for good. Let's go here. Let's refresh our session. Data, Hive Metastore, default, and the students table is gone for good. Now I cannot revive this table because it is gone. There is no place I can see those Parquet files which were created for this particular table. So I cannot revive this table. Now if I execute some select commands over here for this table, it is gone. Select start from students. So this table does not exist anymore. Now let's do the same exercise with the external table. For external table, we have the files with us. So if I go to the command, which is using our dbutils command. Now dbutils command is for checking the file system. Let's go back. Tables, and I believe it was output. If I click this one, I will get these are the files we have. Now if I drop this table, the metadata from this Hive metastore will go off, but these files will still be intact. Let's find out. Drop table. Okay, now let's go to refresh this session. Let's see our Hive metastore again. Hive metastore default. See, it is gone. But let's find out whether in the DBFS file system, do we still have the files or not? Files, tables, output, we still have the file. So the data is not lost, the metadata is lost. But don't worry. If we have the data, we can create the metadata also. So now, see, these are the files. If I execute this command again, it will still show me the file. I'll give you I'll make a next video for telling you what these files are, what exactly are the Spark files, where the data gets lies and all. So let's first of all find out the table that if exists or not. So if I go select star from students external, so table or view not found, but nothing to worry about. Let's find out whether the data still is intact or not. If the data is there, then we can create the table again. So let's read the data directly from the file, which is a Parquet file, and this is the path. Now this is the way you can read the data directly from the file without creating any table or not. So if it shows me data, that means the data is still intact. See, the data is still there. But the metadata, the information about the data, that is gone for good. Now, the best part is for external, if we remove, if by chance something happens and someone by mistake remove the table definition or drop the table, the data for that particular table will still be existing. So do not use manage table if you want to keep the data, and if you want to keep the data in a safe place, then keep the data somewhere in the blob storage or in any of the secured place where you want to keep, and create a metadata on top of it. Now we can create a table. Now go to the create table command. We have a create table command over here. So if I use this create table command, go bottom where I have seen the data. Now see, create table students ext. Now if I just remove this as well also, or as select star from table. Now see what will happen. Now what we are trying to do is we are creating a table again from the data which was in the Parquet file. We had removed the table before, so the table ext does not exist here. Let's find out what happens here. Okay, now if I refresh this, let's see our Hive metastore default. So the ext table has come again, which is good. Now if I query this table from students ext, so see, we have created the table again. The data was not lost. So again, in summary, what I'll tell you again that if that the basic difference between managed and external table is that the managed table has metadata and the data which is defined in the Hive metastore. So once we remove or we drop that table, the managed table, then the data and the metadata is gone for good. For external table, the only difference between managed and external table syntax is using the location clause. So if you see here, the location clause is used. Location means like go and place the database files in this particular location. Now for external table, if we are removing the table, the metadata, then the metadata will be gone from Hive metastore, but the Parquet files or the database files will still be there. And then you can recreate your metadata based on this Parquet files. Hope you like this session, and please like and subscribe the channel. You can please comment also on the video that if you want me to make another video for a different topic for Databricks, then do let me know. Well, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.